Hello and welcome to the read-throughs of the sections of the Indian Penal Code. In this video, we are going to see Chapter 8 of Offences Against the Public Tranquility. This chapter reads from Section 141 to Section 160. Section 141. Unlawful Assembly. An assembly of 5 or more persons is designated as an unlawful assembly if the common object of the persons comprising that assembly is first to override by criminal force or show of criminal force the central or the state government or parliament or the legislature of any state or any public servant in exercise of the lawful power of such public servant, or secondly, to resist the execution of any law or of any legal process, or commit any mischief or trespass or other offence, or fourthly, by means of criminal force or show of criminal force to any person, to take or obtain possession of any property or to deprive any person of the enjoyment of a right of way or of the use of water or other incorporeal property, incorporeal right of which he is in possession or enjoyment, or to enforce any right or supposed right, or fifth, by means of a criminal force or show of criminal force to compel any person to do what he is not legally bound to do, or to omit to do what he is legally entitled to do. Explanation. An assembly which was not lawful when it assembled may subsequently become an unlawful assembly. Section 142. Being a member of an unlawful assembly. Whoever, being aware of the facts that render any assembly an unlawful assembly, intentionally joins that assembly or continues in it is said to be a member of an unlawful assembly. Section 143. Punishment. Whoever is a member of an unlawful assembly shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to 6 months, or with fine, or with both. Section 144. Joining unlawful assembly armed with deadly weapon. Whoever, being armed with any deadly weapon or with anything which used as a weapon of offence is likely to cause death, is a member of an unlawful assembly, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description which may extend to 2 years, or with fine, or with both. Section 145. Joining or continuing in unlawful assembly, knowing it to be commanded to disperse. Whoever joins or continues in an unlawful assembly, knowing that such unlawful assembly has been commanded in a manner prescribed by law to disperse, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 2 years, or with fine, or with both. Section 146. Rioting. Whenever force or violence is used by an unlawful assembly or by any member thereof, In prosecution of any common object of such assembly, every member of such assembly is guilty of the offence of rioting. Punishment for rioting. Whoever is guilty of rioting shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to 2 years, or with fine, or with both. Section 148. Rioting armed with deadly weapon. Whoever is guilty of rioting, being armed with a deadly weapon, or with anything which used as a weapon of offence is likely to cause death, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Every member of unlawful assembly guilty of offence committed in prosecution of common object. If an offence is committed by any member of an unlawful assembly in prosecution of common object of that assembly, or such as the members of that assembly knew to be likely to be committed in prosecution of that object, every member who at the time of the committing of the offence is a member of the same assembly is guilty of that offence. Section 150. Hiring or conniving at hiring of persons to join unlawful assembly. Whoever hires or engages or employs or promotes or connives at the hiring, engagement or employment of any person to join or become a member of an unlawful assembly shall be punishable as a member of such unlawful assembly, and for any offence which may be committed by any such person as a member of such unlawful assembly in pursuance of such hiring, engagement or employment in the same manner as if he had been a member of such unlawful assembly or himself had committed such offence. Section 151. Knowingly joining or continuing in any assembly of 5 or more persons after it has been commanded to disperse. Whoever knowingly joins or continues in any assembly of 5 or more persons likely to cause a disturbance of the public peace after such assembly has been lawfully commanded to disperse shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to 6 months, or with fine, or with both. Explanation. If the assembly is an unlawful assembly within the meaning of section 141, the offender will be punishable under section 145. Section 152. Assaulting or obstructing public servant when suppressing riot, etc. Whoever assaults or threatens to assault or obstruct or attempts to obstruct any public servant in the discharge of his duty as such public servant in endeavoring to disperse any lawful assembly or to suppress any riot or affray or uses or threatens or attempts to use any criminal force to such public servants shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. Wantonly giving provocation with intent to cause riot, if rioting be committed, if not committed. Whoever malignantly or wantonly or by doing anything which is illegal gives provocation to any person intending or knowing it to be likely that such provocation will cause the offence of rioting to be committed, shall, if the offence of rioting be committed in consequence of such provocation, be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 1 year, or with fine, or with both. And if the offence of rioting is not committed, with imprisonment of either description which may extend to 6 months, or with fine, or with both. Section 153A. Promoting enmity between different groups on the ground of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, etc., and doing acts prejudicial to maintenance of harmony. Whoever, A, by words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation or otherwise, promotes or attempts to promote on ground of religion, race, place of birth, residence, language, caste, or community, or any other ground whatsoever, disharmony or feeling of enmity, hatred, ill will between different religious, racial, language, or regional groups or caste or community, or B, commits any act which is prejudicial to the maintenance of harmony between different religious, racial, language, or regional groups or castes or communities, and which disturbs or is likely to disturb the public tranquility, or organizes any exercise, movements, drill, or other similar activity intending that the participants in such activity shall use or be trained to use criminal force or violence, or knowing it to be likely that the participants in such activity will use or be trained to use criminal force or violence, or participates in such activity intending to use or be trained to use criminal force or violence, or knowing it to be likely that the participants in such activity will use or train to use criminal force or violence against any religious, racial, language, or a regional group or caste or community, and such activity for any reason whatsoever cause or is likely to cause a fear or alarm or a feeling of insecurity amongst members of such a religion, race, language, or regional group or caste or community, shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, or with both. 2. Offence committed in place of worship, etc. Whoever commits an offence specified in subsection 1 in any place of worship or in any assembly engaged in the performance of religious worship or religious ceremonies shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 5 years, and shall also be liable to fine. Section 153A. Punishment for knowingly carrying arms in any procession, or organizing or holding or taking part in any mass drill or mass training with arm. Whoever knowingly carries arms in any procession, organizes or holds or take part in any mass drill or mass training with arms in any public place in contravention of any public notice or order issued or made under Section 144A of the Criminal Procedure Code 1973, Act 2 of 1974 shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 6 months and with a fine which may extend to 2,000 rupees. Explanation. Arms means articles of any description designed or adapted as weapon for offense or defense and includes firearm, sharp-edged weapons, lathis, dandals and sticks. Dandas and sticks. Section 153B. Imputations, assertions prejudicial to national integrity. Whoever by words either spoken or written, or by signs or by visible representation or otherwise, makes or publishes any imputation that any class of person cannot, by reasons of their being members of any religion, racial, language, or a regional group, or caste or community, bear true faith or allegiance to the Constitution of India, as by law established, or uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India, or asserts, counsels, advises, propagates or publishes that any class of person shall, by reasons of their being members of any religion, racial, language, regional group, or caste or community, be denied or deprived of their rights as citizen of India, or C. Makes or publishes, and assertion, counsel, plea or appeal concerning obligation of any class of person by reasons of their being member of any religion, race, language or regional group or caste or community, and such assertion, counsel, plea or appeal causes or is likely to cause disharmony or feeling of enmity or hatred or ill will between such members and other persons, shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years, or with a fine, or with both. Whoever commits an offence specified in subsection 1 in any place of worship or in any assembly engaged in the performance of religious worship or religious ceremonies shall be punished with imprisonment which may extend to 5 years and shall also be liable to fine. Section 154. Owner or occupier of land of which an unlawful assembly is held. Whenever any unlawful assembly or riot takes place, the owner or occupier of the land upon which such unlawful assembly is held, or such riot is committed, or any person having or claiming an interest in such land shall be punishable with fine not extending to 1,000 rupees if he or his agent or manager, knowing that such offence is being or has been committed, or having reasons to believe it is likely to be committed, do not give the earliest notice thereof in his or their power to the principal officer at the nearest police station, and do not, in the case of his or their having reasons to believe that it was about to be committed, use any unlawful use any lawful means in his or their power to prevent it, and in the event of its taking place does not use all lawful means in his or their power to disperse or suppress the riot or unlawful assembly. Section 155. Liability of person for whose benefit riot is committed. Whoever is a riot is committed. Whenever a riot is committed for the benefit or on behalf of any person who is the owner or occupier of any land respecting which such riot takes place, or who claims any interest in such land, or is the subject of any dispute which gave rise to the riot, or who has accepted or derived any benefit therefrom, such person shall be punishable with fine if he or his agent or manager, having reasons to believe that such a riot was likely to be committed, or that the unlawful assembly by which such riot was committed was likely to be held, shall not respectively use all lawful means in his or their power to prevent such assembly or riot from taking place, or for suppressing and dispersing the same. Section 156. Liability of agent of owner or occupier for whose benefit riot is committed. However, whenever a riot is committed for the benefit or on behalf of any person who is the owner or occupier of any land respecting which such riot takes place, or who claims any interest in such land, or is subject of any dispute which gave rise to the riot, or who has accepted or delivered any benefit therefrom, the agent or manager of such person shall be punishable with a fine if such agent or manager, having reasons to believe that such riot was likely to be committed, or that the unlawful assembly by which such riot was committed was likely to be held, shall not use all lawful means in his power to prevent such riot or assembly from taking place, and for suppressing and dispersing the same. Section 157. Harboring person hired for an unlawful assembly. Whoever harbors, receives, or assembles in any house or premises in which, in his occupation or charge, or under his control, any person knowing that such person have been hired, engaged, or employed, or are about to be hired, engaged, or employed to join or become member of an unlawful assembly, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 6 months, or with fine, or with both. Section 158. Being hired to take part in an unlawful assembly or riot. Whoever engaged or hired, or offers or attempts to be hired or engaged to do or assist in doing any of the acts specified in section 141 shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 6 months, or with fine, or with both. Ought to go armed, and whoever being so engaged or hired as aforesaid goes armed, or engages or offers to be armed with any deadly weapon, or anything that which used as a weapon of offence is likely to cause death, shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 2 years, and with fine, and with or with both, which may extend to 2 years or with fine or with both. Section 159. Affray. When two or more persons by fighting in a public place disturb the public peace, they are said to commit an affray. Punishment for committing affray. Whoever commits an affray shall be punished with imprisonment of either description, which may extend to 1 month, or with fine, which may extend to 100 rupees, or with both.